They say you never forget your first time, and that's true. That's why to this day I can't listen to the classic song Consideration from the 90s indie band Reef. Kindness is a weakness. But that is a story for another day. And yes, it was Consideration, not Place Your Hands On. Oh, place your hands on my own. Which would be the obvious cliched one. Anyway, move on, move on. No, today is about a different first. My first experience in first class with British Airways. Now, this has been a long time in the making. I have progressed through the ranks, as it were, in my international travels. Very much started in economy for the first huge chunk of it. Managed to nudge my up to premium economy, which maybe often remains my cabin of choice, certainly on day flights. And then I've done a few business, which has been good, but the elusive holy grail of travel is first, and I have never experienced it and never got upgraded or anything like that. However, this is my trip back from Atlanta when British Airways were doing the double tier points offer and double Avios. So it was only, I can't remember the exact, I think it was like maybe 300 quid more to go from premium economy to business, to, excuse me, first class. You will find some of these deals, if you look quite carefully. We actually found some going to Seattle next year, so bagged a flight first class there too. But the point is, it was my boom, paid for it, got super excited. So I'm going to now talk you through my first dalliances with the first class cabin and what I made of it. Let's kick things off with a brief rundown into Atlanta Airport. When it comes to Atlanta Airport, British Airways doesn't have a particularly impressive offering. Yes, there was a first class queue or line, but nothing particularly fancy or exciting or anything like that. There was also no fast track security, so I had to plod through, and it took a little bit of time. It was a bit annoying because it was like, you take your belts off, your shoes, but no, take your electricals out, keep them in. Oh, it's like the okey cokey. It really is. I wish they could just sort it out in terms of getting the policy. Anyway, so yeah, so nothing particularly special in check-in or security, and also the lounge. Now, I've heard a lot of bad things about the Atlanta lounge. This is British Airways uses a communal lounge, so there's no exclusivity whatsoever. You are in a very busy lounge. It wasn't too bad actually. It's not as the nightmare scenario that I'd heard from other people. There was a few nooks and crannies you could sort of sit in, but yeah, the food was yeah. The bar was good though. The bar was good. The bar people, bar stewards, they were great. They seemed very friendly, very efficient, and were running it like absolute beasts. So well done to them. I didn't catch their names, but if anyone from Atlanta Airport or that lounge in Atlanta is watching, big up to the staff there. Anyway, so nothing special thus far. So I'm feeling a little bit. I'm not feeling special. I'm not feeling pampered. I'm not feeling first class VIP. I'm feeling bog standard. I'm feeling slightly deflated at this point. So getting onto the plane now. How is my expectations going to go when it gets onto the plane? Fantastic, absolutely brilliant. Now I know people. You do get shown to your seat, and my other half got on first, and the cabin crew showed her to her seat, which was also important because she'd actually broken her wrist the day before. But they were great in sort of taking her and making sure that they could lift her bag up and do all those things. So as always, thank you, British Airways cabin crew, for being the best. Anyway, so in terms of the seat, I managed to walk straight through business class. Look, no, I'm going up the front, going up the front. Look at me, I'm important. So coming in, and just the cabin was just, I mean, it was dimmed because it was a nighttime flight, but it just felt like another world. There was a fantastic ambience in the cabin. It seemed very calm. It seemed very exclusive, definitely very exclusive. And I was just Yeah, I was just, this is something else. Now, when it comes to the seating, I should say the configuration is 1-2-1, and there were 8 seats in total in the cabin. We went for the two in the middle, the two aisle seats, as we were traveling together. Now, comparing the window seats to the aisle seats, I think the window seats, I mean, I think they look a bit funkier because the fact you have those two windows makes a kind of private jet vibe. Not quite, but it's certainly up there. Whereas obviously, if you're in the aisle, you don't kind of get that. However, looking at the two, you got more storage space in the window seats. You had the funky little cupboard, little wardrobe there, but you seem to also get less space. I think the aisle seats seem to have a bit more room around you. So pick and choose whatever you want. Do you want a little bit more room? Do you want storage space? Do you want the nice vibe of a private jet type experience? Totally up to you. Doesn't really matter. There isn't a huge. It was a bit weird actually. That I complained about this on my Airbus A380 business class review about the lack of storage space in some of those seats. There was practically no storage space in this seat, at least unless it was hidden away somewhere, which I couldn't find. But it didn't seem to matter. I'm not sure why, really. I mean, it was just sort of, yeah. Maybe I was just brainwashed and had a little fog on me, going, "Oh, I'm in first class," rather than keeping my critical mind focused. But I don't think it was too much of an issue. I didn't really need that much space. I'm not some kind of expert on aeroplane configurations or British Airways fleets and all these sort of things. I think the seats circa, I want to say 2010, looking at the different types that you can get. And I know BA are launching a new first class suite, I think, next year. These they did feel little parts of them. For example, the television coming out, that did feel very similar to the business class A380. Fortunately, the TV didn't trigger some kind of post traumatic stress disorder from my rather troublesome flight. You can check out that video here. And of course, if you do like me, please do like this video and subscribe and join me on my journey around the travel sphere. Anyway, so not necessarily the best TV. I much prefer the integrated screen that you get in the newer configuration business class suites. So I wasn't overly impressed by that. But in terms of the rest of the seat, I love the minimalist design. I love the fact that there's just one knob to control the seat back and forth. That's good. The controllers for the entertainment center are in the side of your head, nice and tucked away. This gave the cabin, the seat, I should say, a suite, a really sleek and minimalist feel that just it just felt very spacious and felt very relaxing. Maybe one thing with the little curtain between the two of us, perhaps was a little bit, maybe a little bit low frequency in terms of its quality. But overall, those tiny things, and also that you get a little light for some reason. I'm not sure how practical that is, but yeah, maybe it's a bit kitsch. Maybe a couple of those things are a bit kitsch, but I'll forgive them that because overall the seat is good. Not good, is great. And on my recent British Airways versus American Airlines business class face off, I was saying about how being 5'10", nearly 6 foot, not quite, but 5'10", I didn't think it would make much difference. Now, the business class configurations here are, I think, 6 foot flatbed. First class is 6'6", and I did notice I had the obligatory wiggle in my little legs to show how much leg room we have, but this was generous. Not, I think those 6 inches did make a massive difference. The other thing as well, you also get two reading lights, which were quite handy as well, because as I said, it was a nighttime flight, so we got on quite. The flight was delayed, so it's about 10:15. We didn't get onto, I think, maybe 20 to 11. So when the cabin is dark, it does get quite dark, and I think actually in some of my videos, certainly on my GoPro, it's not the best lighting. Thus far, noticeably better than business class. Now, I think the thing about first class, certainly with British Airways, and I know some of the people that have travelled, Max will tell you this. I think it's the personalisation of the service. The cabin crew were out of this just brilliant. They were just brilliant. As I always thought they were good in the other cabins, but they were just so friendly, so kind, so humorous. Great bands. We had Steph from, I think, Southport. She was just a dream, because they were very. I say my wife had a broken wrist, so they were very courteous and helpful on that, trying to open up her painkillers and these kind of things. But throughout it, brilliant. Just I keep saying brilliant, friendly, humorous. It was just a joy, and the fact that the personalised services. Some people might not necessarily know, but when you fly first, it's pretty much you can choose as and when you want to eat and drink, and that's really really nice the way they come out. Do you want your next course yet? Do you want to wait? Do you want to do X, Y, Z? It really is all up. Do you want your pajamas? Do you want your Jimmy Jams? Unfortunately, there are no pictures of me in my Jimmy Jams, so we're gonna have to wait till we fly to Seattle if anyone's keen on that kind of that kind of image. Maybe some people are. We all have kinks. But yeah, certainly brilliant. The staff, unbelievable. Now let's talk about just I suppose, the experience. So you get on, obviously, you get the personal greeting, sit down. They ask you what you want to drink, and before takeoff, it's not just they bring out the champagne or the water. In this case, like anything you like. So they came out. We ordered gin and tonic. So gin and tonic, and a little three little platters of snacks. And it was a really nice way to ease yourself into the flight. You never felt rushed. You never felt pressured, because I think sometimes it'd be, "Do you want some champagne, sir? Yeah, drink up. We gotta go. We gotta go." But no, it was fine. It was fine. It was really really just, yeah, I think nicest takeoff I've ever had. Now the food. There's a whole selection of stuff. The food, the drink. I'll put some things on the screen so you can see what you have. A good selection of champagne and English sparkling wines were on offer. After my gin and tonic, I thought a couple of glasses of champers will do the trick, so I indulged. The wine was sublime, I have to say. I went for the French one, and that was absolutely beautiful. Certainly a step up from the little plastic screw tops in premium economy and economy. And of course, there is the usual array of soft drinks and beers and stuff. And interestingly, they didn't actually have any craft beer. I think it was the same servings, Heineken and friggin' Speedbird. So maybe it would have been a nice little touch, perhaps, BA. Add some craft beer, like you do with, say, the port with the cheese. But we'll come on to that later. That means you are all stocked up when it comes to your beverage requirements. Now, the food, I was excited about the food. And it was on the whole good, but let's take a step back. So we kick things off restaurant style with a little amuse bouche, which was well presented, although probably not the most appealing of colours, very beige. The starter was an absolute no-brainer for me. It had to be the blue crab salad. You've got caviar on it. You've got a quail's egg. Why would I have that over a pea and mint soup? Unbelievable. Yeah, anyway, so clearly I went for the blue crab, and it was delicious. And I've said this before, often the salad and the stuff that they didn't necessarily have to cook tend to be fresher and delightful. Main course was halibut, and I went for the halibut because I love halibut, but obviously being microwaved, like all airplane food is, it probably wasn't the greatest. But I appreciated the thought and what went into it. I just think maybe the fact that halibut is a very hard fish to cook. I would forgive them that not being so good. And then of course we have the cheese course, but the um, the food again, it was just exactly what you'd hope it to be, and it was just a really nice service. But the fact was that this was an overnight flight, as I said for the third time, meant that we just ate and got to bed fairly quickly. And again, brought out the pajamas, and as you go and brush your teeth, they make your bed for you, and then they say if you want to get woken up in the morning, do you want for breakfast? All those sort of shenanigans in the bed was lovely and comfortable. Slept like a Peruvian proverbial. Sorry, it's Sunday and it's been a long old couple of weeks. But yeah, I slept like a baby. Say got up in the morning and had some pleasant fruit platter. My wife went for the poached egg, which again I think with a microwave thing probably wasn't as good as it could be. But overall, I can't fault the food. But I will say as well, I loved this was the in terms of the fold out tray, your dining tray. Oh my god, this was just absolute massive. It was like some kind of frigging table. Like it's like whoa, it like takes up the whole space. And it was good old, I call her Steph, call her Steph. She was joking about how many times it's so big that she keeps catching her nails and they keep breaking. So I can see that, but that was again making. I initially thought it was a bit cumbersome, really, to be honest. But then actually, because you could move it forwards and backwards, and it just felt like it was actually a dining section more than just having some little thing on your lap or on the tray in front of you. So another plus for the tray. The tray. I'm praising the tray. What's it come to? Because of the duration of this flight, we didn't watch any TV or films or anything, so I can't really comment on the entertainment system. You did get a decent, better pair of headphones, but again, as I didn't use them, I can't really pass comment. As I mentioned earlier, the TV did give me that A380 vibe, and it did look a little bit, maybe past its best, certainly compared to the integrated TV in the business class suite. So that's probably but one of the gripes I would have. The other gripe I'd have, and this is on me, was that it was quite late, and it would have been good for perhaps to have a longer flight. And I imagine people when they do the red eye, something like Boston or New York, because obviously that can be very short flights. I really don't know whether it would be worth it over business class, for example. So if you just wanted a flat bed, and the price difference is astronomical, then probably just go for business class. But if you're on a longer flight, maybe if you're good in the daytime, you can get a perk like if you go through Heathrow Terminal 5, you can get the Concorde room. Or I think when we fly back from Seattle and New York, and there's a few other spots where you can or airport lounges where there is a little bespoke first class service for BA customers. Dubai was another one. Dubai was another one. As part of the package, you also get the famous, infamous, whichever one it is, British Airways First Amenity Kit. This is a great little bag of delights. Plenty of good, almost like a little spa section of like moisturizers and eye masks and socks and all that. In fact, actually, for some reason, I see people who take these, don't use them, and actually stick them on eBay, selling for like, I don't know, 15, 20, 30 quid, which I'm not really sure it's worth that much money. I have to single out the eye mask. As you saw earlier, it has a lovely quilted back, which was super soft and super great to wear and help you fall asleep. I mean, in terms of the other stuff, obviously, like moisturizer and toothbrush and comb and all the things you need. Generally speaking, if I'm flying over, if I was flying over in first or business, I would probably not use these on the plane and maybe use them at the hotel, or just again take them back with you because they are quite handy little things to have. Overall, then, I'm not going to labour this on and go on and on and on, but this was a great experience. The fact that it was so personal, it's a cliche. I'm a cliche, but it was a very personalised service. That you think they do a great job of making you feel special, making you feel not like a pampered VIP, but just someone they're paying attention to and sort of assisting and making the journey as pleasant as they can. So absolutely fantastic. Okay, so is first class worth it? Well, I did love first class, but if the price point, and I've seen some of the price points where you're looking at 5, 6 grand more than, well, certainly being economy and obviously considering more than business. Um, Probably, if you're a Joe Schmo like me, probably not. Probably not. It's quite hard to justify, 10, 15 grand on a couple of flights. But if you keep a close eye on the BA website and keep an eye out for the deals and make sure you do the comparisons and find comparable deals and see where you can get something for a few hundred quid, it is absolutely worth it. I really loved it. A great experience. And thank you so much to Stefan and the crew. So, if you want to see how it compares to the other business class flights, I mentioned the A380. I also did the newer one, the newer suites. Then you can check out these videos or my playlist where you can peruse my other fantastic business class experiences.